everyone, my name is Birdbrain, and today we are talking about brushes. So Harmony is mainly an animation software, and while its drawing engine is quite impressive, it's not a painting software, which means that you cannot blend or smudge your paint like you would in a digital painting software. However, there are still some ways that you can customize your drawing experience by creating and editing your own brushes. Okay, so let's do this. So brush tool. First, let's take a look at what the software can offer us right now. So if I want to draw, I'll just go get my brush tool. The shortcut is Alt-B, by the way. And then I'll head over to my tool properties. I'll find all these brushes that the software can give me. The first one are just pure solid brushes, and they're just vectors. But if you go down, you're gonna find Harmony's special little thing that is textured vectors. So it's like a vector, which means that you can edit it just like a normal vector, but it's got a texture, so it's like a vector dressed up for Halloween. And my favorite one is pipe cleaner. And as you draw, you have a texture that you can still edit. That's what we're going for. I'm not going to talk about the pure bitmap brushes because I never use pure bitmap layers, and maybe I'll cover it later, but we're going to talk about textured vectors here. First, let's take a look at the brushes in the tools property window. In there, you'll see that Harmony offers you multiple pre-made brushes. It is important to note though that for most part, these brushes are made to do line work, not crazy big splooches of paint work. For the most part, these default brushes were made using brush tips and textures that are something like 100 pixel per 100 pixel. And this is very small. So that's why they look great if they're meant to sketch, but as soon as you try to make them bigger, the quality is not there. My guess is that since the brushes are built in with the software, they needed to be lightweight. Otherwise, if the brushes were like 4K brush tips, I guess the software would have been a bit heavier to download and install and stuff. Anyway, all this to say that Harmony's default brushes are meant for line work, not texture painting. If you want to go for a very stylized painted look, you'll need to create either large brush tips, which we're gonna cover in a minute, or do that in post. And if you want to do that in comp, I have a video about it that I'll link below as well. So for the brush part, let's jump right in. A good way to create a cool brush in Harmony is often to start from an existing one and to make it your own. To do this, simply click here. In the tool properties, choose your brush. I'm gonna just draw a few strokes so that we can see what it does. And then you can click on this triangle here, and then you get the vector brush property window. So first you have the brush type. Now it's set to textured vector, but if you set it to solid vector, you'll get just these options. So these are pure vectors, so that's why you lose most of the raster features that you could get. So no hardness, no spacing, no transparency, no dual tip, no paper, no nothing. But you get a very lightweight line that is great to do rough or to do very clean vector look. So what we're talking about today is not vector brush, it's textured vector brush. And when you go to textured vector, you get the same brush tip that you would with a regular bitmap brush. So like I said, these are Harmonies. If you want to make your own, we're gonna jump to that in a moment. Now we're just going to look at these little elements. So you have hardness, spacing, random size, random angle, random spacing. All of these you can play with. And as you play with them, you're going to see that your brush is going to change in here. So that's great. You can also test it as you go. You don't need to close that window all the time. Here you have some smoothing option, transparency option. You have lots to play with. And you can even mix two tips together. So that's even better. You can get crazy cool results with that. You just have to work and get used to it, but it's very interesting. And you can have paper texture. So the way to do brush tips and paper texture is the same. So I'm gonna cover that in a couple of minutes. So I'm gonna cover that in a moment. But what I wanna say is that when you use texture, I always suggest to unalign them. So you unclick this, and it just makes them that much more random. So that's a little trick that I usually use. So that's a little trick that I use sometimes. So I tend to unalign them. Alright, that being said, if you're creating a new brush, don't forget to click on that new brush preset button, rename your brush, and then press OK, and you're gonna find it here. And then if you want to edit it in any way, you can just click on that green pencil thingy, and it's gonna update it. So the first step to creating your very own brush is to create your brush tip. To do this, hop in any of your favorite painting software. This can be Harmony or any other third-party software like Clip, Photoshop, Krita to draw it, and then you'll be able to export it and you import it back to Harmony. So here's what you need to know about brush tip design for Harmony. First, Your brush tip needs to be a grayscale image. Harmony will not care about colors in this image because your brush will use the color that you assign to it. This is just to get the brush tip shape. Second, your brush tip should not contain any transparency. Harmony determines the brush tip's transparency based on its black, white, and gray level. So just remember that the black part will be 100% visible and the white part will be 100% transparent. And the gray part will be semi-transparent. You can import brush tips in any image format supported by Harmony. This includes PNG, JPEGs, and probably more. And don't forget that resolution matters. For a line brush, it is recommended to create brush tips in a resolution ranging from 100 pixel to 400 pixel, and it's square shape. However, if you want to paint fills of color with that brush and to render it in beautiful 4K, of course you will need to have bigger files for it not to look pixelated and lame. Brush tips are shared between the brush tool and the eraser tool. So like paper textures and brush presets, paper textures are saved in your preferences. You can also export your brush tip into an XML file and import them to any different workstation that you have, allowing you to share your brushes within your studio or like with friends or online just for fun, and have different people collaborating on your project. This is amazing! So we're gonna hop over to another software to draw our little tip. So for my tip, I will create a beautiful crown. So I'm gonna make sure that my background is white, because white is transparent. I'm gonna go here and get drawing. So that will be my brush. I will also put little eyes on it. And these eyes will be full of beautiful texture. And then I'm gonna add a couple more texture to it. And that's gonna be my brush tip. Amazing. Then all you need to do is save it. I'm gonna save it in a folder just for my brushes because I want to keep organized. And that's it. Export it. My brush is set to 1000 by 1000 pixel. So it's gonna be huge and amazing and look great. So how do you import your tip? You can do it from that little page menu. It's located here in the tool properties, or if you go to that little window, it's also here. So just click on it to click on add. It's important to click on add because this adds a tip. If you go to import, you'll import brushes, so that's the same. So go to add, and this will allow you to add a new brush tip to your collection. So you just have to locate it. Mine is right here. I'll import it, and there you go, you're gonna have your brush tip. So if you're a decent painter, which I am not, you'll be able to have more fun than I am, but I'm teaching you this. I don't make my brush tip usually. And if I want to draw, so this will be my brush tip. I can edit the hardness or the spacing to, I guess, draw better. Oh, that's kind of cool. You know, I kind of dig it. I could see myself actually liking this brush. Damn. I really love it. But if you want to make it even more special, you can go to dual tip, and we are going to pair that with another, with the stars. Oh yeah, I can see this being amazing. Doesn't change that much, but if we change this, you know, it's starting to look a little bit like the pipe cleaner one. But yeah, you just experiment and I guess you can create some very cool things. So that's it. Once you're done playing with your brush, don't forget to save it, update it as a brush preset, and then you're all set. All you need to do is maybe export them so that you don't lose them. So you're gonna go here, go to export brushes, and just find it in the list right here. And I'll export it. And it's gonna create a cool XML that I can put everywhere I need it. To import it, simply go here, import, and go find said XML and import it. And that's it. So I hope you're gonna have fun creating your own brushes, and I cannot wait to see what you do. Have a nice day! Woo!